What's up, rockers? Welcome to another episode of the Talk Louder podcast, where we geek out on all things rock and roll. Hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Leave us your likes and comments. You can also leave likes and comments on our Facebook page. Follow us on iTunes, Spotify, and Instagram at talklouder_podcast. And you can always find us at our website, talklouderpodcast.com. I'm Metal Dave, along with my co-host, Jason McMaster. And today's guest, much like my co-host, is a part of Texas metal history. He was a central figure in the mid-'80s Texas metal scene. His name is Mike Soliz. He is best friends with Jason. They went to, did you go to high school together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, my junior year. And I believe he was a senior when I was a junior, yeah.
Brought together by a Motorhead t-shirt, and we'll hear all about that in the episode. And you guys were bandmates, so tell us a little bit about Mike before we bring him in.
The interesting thing is we met at Austin High, here in Austin, of course, would have been 81. And in our episode, Mike brings up Edgar Winter Group. Well, the Winter brothers went to Austin High.
Wow.
Just a little factoid there. Anyway, so, or one of them did. So, dude, I've known this cat so long, it kind of scares me. So, in 81, I was like 16 or 17 years old.
Yeah.
So it's kind of scary when I won't. And 81, I was 16. You do the math. So there you go.
Someone out there has a calculator.
That's right.
Now.
I do not. I refuse to have that calculator handy. So, our story, we've talked about it before on the podcast, about how we met and then, the things that transpired, that you'll hear a lot about. But now the band that he and I formed pretty much just mere days after we first met way back then, me on bass and him on drums, was called Fallen Angel. We just did cover songs. We did AC/DC and Hendrix and Rush and Judas Priest and all of the, you just playing cover songs by your heroes.
Yeah.
And then when we realized that both of us kind of wanted to be singers, or it was by default, it was because the singers that we had for Fallen Angel, like, it would just be buddies coming over to our practice room, they weren't very good, and we weren't very good. We were shit, but we knew that we were at least as good as they were, so we just started splitting the singing. Well, 6 months later, I'm fronting Watchtower, and not long after, he's in this band Militia.
Yeah.
And it was all stemmed from just he and I, worshiping heavy metal together. And it was almost like some kind of dynamic duo. We were into all of the underground bands. He was coming to see Watchtower play cover songs. And the rest is kind of history, but I just wanted to say, Fallen Angel, we probably only did about 6 or 7 shows, and we were very short-lived.
Yeah.
So it's not someone from my past, it's someone from my present.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like really weird, because it's like Mike is like just sitting across the room from me always.
Yeah.
And, he knew my mom, but like you said, he is one of the greatest people you'll ever meet. And he knows what he likes. He knows what kind of metal he wants to make. He's never had a voice lesson. He's never had a lesson in anything, as far as I know.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and like, as you know, I mean, what do you think when you hear Mike Soliz sing?
Oh, yeah, it's hard to believe the guy has no formal training if that's the case, because he's definitely got a very identifiable voice, an incredible range, and yeah, he's his voice is classic. It's Halford, it's Jeff Tate, it's Bruce Dickinson, it's King Diamond, it's all those people you think of with that really high falsetto, and that yeah, he sounds great, and I
But
didn't know this, but he's also an accomplished drummer. So
holy moly! Well,
yeah,
you know, back in Fallen Angel when he was playing drums in our band, it's like we were both just kind of like, trying to start songs together and finish them at the same time. It
yeah,
was we had accomplished, even if we played it terribly, we were happy just playing music together.
sure,
And and we didn't really get to this either, but the South Texas Legion, the sort of Texas metal supergroup that we took to Germany a couple of years ago to play Keep It True, that's really the only other project I've ever done with Mike Soliz. I mean, I sang backup vocals on some Militia demos and stuff like that, but we've never really been in like a real band together. It's like,
yeah,
okay, well, we are in our little kiddie band, but then went on to things that would be known for globally, and that is, I feel very proud to have
sure,
a friend in Mike Solis, and to be able to say that we used our resources, and that's all we used because it's all we had. We didn't have any training. There wasn't a school. Okay, here's how you be an underground phenomenon in the global underground metal scene. Here's how you do it. Here's the handbook. Here's the videos. When you come out of your training, we'll have a gold star and a diploma. And no, no,
yeah,
we
yeah,
just is the for the love of metal. Just
yeah,
for the love of the passion that we both had. And so
yeah.
it's really great that we were able to talk to Mike today.
Yeah, we should point out also that he's got a new album with Militia called "And the Gods Made War."
How's it going, man? How you guys
Good,
doing?
man. We're glad to have you.
Oh man,
Uh,
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for asking me.
well, it seemed only fitting because you, much like my co-host Jason McMaster, share a certain status in Texas metal history and legend and that sort of thing. So it's only fitting that we get you on the show sooner or later. So thank
Well,
you for
that's
joining us.
very nice of you guys. That's awesome.
Yeah, and thanks for your comments and just for playing along, because we see all that, and when we were kind of just getting up and going. And
Yeah.
I mean, Mike, I didn't even know you were a podcast kind of guy, or are you? Are you?
No, I wasn't until recently, and then when I saw that you guys were gonna be doing this, I'm like, this is gonna be awesome, and I'm gonna learn a lot, and have my jaw's gonna drop hearing some of these stories and stuff, and
Yeah.
man, that's awesome. And I also wanted to, while I was at work, I wanted to text you guys that certain things when you were speaking about first concerts and your first T-shirts. I couldn't do it. I was working. I was
Start yelling at the, like
Yeah.
getting excited, start yelling out loud.
pretty
Like,
much.
yeah, Tourette's.
I was like, these guys are gonna freak when I tell them I saw Kiss in '77 or something.
Yeah, heavy metal Tourette's.
Yeah.
So you saw Kiss in '77.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yes, please.
That was, I think I was either in sixth or seventh grade, and of course a huge, gigantic Kiss fan, like everybody else, and that was my very first concert, by the way. Very
Wow.
first.
Was this the Love Gun tour?
Lucky.
This was the Love Gun tour, and it was right after the Alive 2 came out. Right.
Wow.
So I saw them at Joe Freeman Coliseum
Okay.
in '77, and me and some buddies from school, I think their big brother drove us down there, and and mind blown. You're seeing Kiss, your heroes and stuff, the people that growing up, I was all about the monster movies and the horror and stuff. And now you have rock and roll come into your life, and then you mix the two, and it's like euphoria.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think we all have that in common.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Do you remember who the opening act was that night?
I want to say it was maybe a group called New England.
Oh yeah,
New England.
That's
I
vaguely.
I think
that's
you may be
vaguely
right.
familiar. Yeah.
It may have been that tour or the Dynasty tour. It was New England, but I think I remember that name pretty much. New England.
So you said you saw that show at the Joe and Harry Freeman Coliseum, which is in San Antonio. Are you originally from San Antonio, or
No, I'm from here, but I might as
in
well
Austin?
be. Yeah.
So you hitched a ride down to the gig in San Antonio.
Yeah. Like I said, one of the older brothers of one of my friends was the one that drove us all down there, and we were just kids.
Seventh grade. Right.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And
That's awesome,
so
man.
it was amazing.
Well,
Awesome.
let's. I'm gonna just. There's a lot of elephants in this room. Right.
Yeah.
Now. Like about 100 of them.
Yeah.
And I really don't know which one to try to tackle first. But like we don't have to do any kind of timeline, but
Yeah.
as you very well know, I've probably told the story of how we met on the show
Yeah.
more than once.
Yeah. I've watched pretty much all your videos, all your interviews.
Yeah, so
And you always mention that. But
yes.
that's
So
cool.
sorry about that. I'm over
No.
here talking about you all the time. I guess it's
Not
my
a problem.
lifelong man crush. So the fact that you were wearing a Motorhead shirt in the high school cafeteria
Yeah.
in 1981.
81, I think it was.
Ace of Spades is brand new.
Yeah.
You had obviously gotten that shirt at one show where Motorhead is supporting Blizzard of Oz.
Yes.
That's the only place anyone in the middle of Texas would have a Motorhead shirt that early on,
Yeah.
right? Because
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't even think like the old like rock shop downtown, Aaron's Rock and Roll. If you're from Austin, Texas, you know very well what that is. I don't think that they were they didn't know what a Motorhead was yet.
I had no idea.
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
they had a couple of years to catch up to all that
Right.
wave that was about to hit.
Right. So obviously you were at that show too.
Yeah.
I mean, we could talk about concerts that you've been to because I know you've seen a bunch. But I want to reiterate the day we met and we hung out all day. It was love at first sight.
Oh yeah.
You took me over to your house to meet your mom. God, it is like we were dating.
I think
Our first date was our first date. And no, it wasn't to meet your mom. I just, I was giving you a ride home. And we got into your room and it looked exactly like my room. There wasn't an inch of space on the wall that didn't have Kiss on it.
I even, and I'm kicking myself to this day, I even cut the edges off of those posters just to make more room somehow.
Wow. Well, hey, sacrifice the bloody lamb to
I like battered
more
and beat
metal.
up posters, to be honest, because they're used.
Yeah.
Well, you can't sell them that way.
Yeah. No,
They're not. We're not as worth. So you might as well keep them on the wall. So anyway, that says a lot about what's going on here. So, in the form of a question, I would like to talk about what people probably know you for in the heavy metal music community, and that is the early '80s, mid '80s Texas thrash band that is globally known to be some sort of collector's type, one of those bands that has a collectability hat to it, and also just was a great sort of it was the cup half full or half empty kind of was Militia too late or too early is a
Yeah.
great argument because of
Right.
just the kind of music it was and
Mhm.
how a lot of that stuff started to blow up around the same time. Tell us the story. Is I'll try to bite my tongue because I've heard this story like literally a million times because I was standing right there next to you.
Absolutely.
Or I'm the one that instigated the damn thing in the first
Yeah,
place.
that's what I'm about to say.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
tell us the story and what year and if it was summer or winter, whatever.
I think it was maybe late, if not mid '84, I believe. I was playing drums at the time, with some friends, and we were just jamming in my garage. We weren't a band yet or anything, but and I can't remember if I said, "Hey, Jason, come on over. We're gonna jam." Or anyway, you were there, and hey, we're gonna do Metal, Thrash, and Mad from Anthrax because I wanted to be Charlie Benanti.
Who doesn't want to be Charlie
Who
Benanti?
doesn't want to be that drummer? And so I was also singing the part too. And so I'm guessing that, a light went off in your head going, maybe this guy could probably sing for these other guys I know of and stuff. And I think you just kind of said, you should try out for these guys. And, I think you would fit perfect or something. And I did. And that's pretty much how that went. I got the job immediately.
In 1984, how many metal singers that you knew, because, you were metalhead, could you just rattle off the top of your head? Zero.
One, you.
So there was that. Now, to put this in perspective, this is only a year and a half or 2 years after I had started fronting Watchtower.
Mm-hmm.
And this is after, I don't want to say the demise of our band, Fallen Angel, where, I played bass and you sang and we both ended up singing. And 6 months later or whatever, I ended up in Watchtower and not really, year and a half later, you end up fronting Militia.
Yeah.
Here's a little bit of insight, and a lot of people don't know this, but Jesse Villegas, who had teamed up with Phil Lachey, and Phil Lachey already knew like Rick and Doug and Billy from Watchtower because they all went to. Well, I know that they went to. Well, Phil, the drummer for Militia, had gone to high school at Crockett High School in South Austin with Rick and Doug, not Billy, to be clear, but they all knew each other.
Yeah.
Jesse Villegas was a South Austin, metalhead.
Yeah.
Who no one was playing like that.
Right.
When I went over and saw what Phil and Jesse were doing at Tony's house, it was the first time I had met Tony. In '84, I was already in Watchtower, and they invited me over, and they wanted me to check it out. And I want to say that it was Jesse Villegas, God rest his soul.
Yeah.
That, I checked it out, and I was like, wow, it was thrash. It was thrash, and some of those early songs, Thrash to Destroy, and maybe Metal Axe,
Onslaught.
Onslaught, definitely the earliest stuff. And Phil Lachey may have even had lyrics going, right?
Yeah, I think it was Jesse and Phil.
That were putting it all together.
Right.
And I know that they really wanted to see what I thought, because I think that they were trying to headhunt me. They were just whatever. I'm not taking it. I didn't take it bad, or I didn't think twice about it. And Jesse came over to hear me with Watchtower, like literally came to a rehearsal at Billy White's house.
Wow.
And watched us play about 5 songs. And it was like a return the favor kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then I think that was the end of it. Well, the next thing that happened was the story you told. You and I were hanging out, and I was like, "Holy crap, you should go." And I took you over there, and I just cut the leash. I left you there.
Like putting a little duck in the pond, but a metal one. Go.
Yeah. So that's kind of tell us kind of what happened from there, as far as you remember, as far as putting those songs together and planning to go into the studio and record a demo, and then just go from there.
Yeah, I think my memory is not that great, but I remember going, and they immediately liked what I was doing because I was just screaming at the top of my lungs, and like Rob Halford, which
Yeah.
is what I wanted, see like this.
Well,
And,
we were untrained. We didn't know
yeah,
what we were
exactly.
doing.
We didn't know
Me
what
and
we
you
were doing.
used to ride around in my car with a boombox between our legs,
Yeah,
singing Raven,
yeah,
Hell Patrol at full
yeah,
volume until our throat,
yeah,
until
yeah.
blood came out of our noses.
Oh yeah, those were magic times, man.
Yes, yeah,
And
very well put.
yeah, and so I think there's even some recordings of me like at early practice.
Oh,
And it sounds like I'm yelping, of course, and didn't know all the words right and stuff, but it's there somewhere.
yeah.
So they immediately liked what I was doing, and next thing you know, I think we had a show. Was it in late '84? Was Watchtower, Wizard, and Militia was
That was your first show with Militia?
yeah, right?
Can you tell us? Yeah, that sounds right. I don't.
Yeah, and I think it was Chris Gates who put on that show.
Yeah.
I remember we went over to his place and stuff, and we were all wowed and stuff because he had all kinds of punk rock stickers here and there and stuff.
Yeah, he was Chris Gates.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone knows who and what a Chris Gates is, but
Yes,
for
exactly.
those of you who don't know,
Yeah.
Chris Gates is like kind of like this sort of like guru in the Austin, Texas scene,
Yeah.
who him and his brothers actually
Yeah. Yeah.
were a part of the punk scene in the late 70s, early 80s around here, and they all had bands. And Chris's band, of course, was the Big Boys,
Yeah.
and they played with everybody, and they kind of started the whole like local thing, and and they became global like within a matter of few years.
Hmm.
So he ended up in the band Junkyard, as well as other things in between, of course.
Right.
But Junkyard was a big deal, MTV, the
Poison
whole
13,
thing.
I believe.
Poison 13.
Poison 13 was kind of a big deal around here too, and probably did some touring as well.
Yeah.
But Chris Gates was a big player in showing you and I, basically, if not everybody around here, how to do it. The whole DIY, print your
Yeah.
own shirts, make your own
Absolutely.
posters,
Yeah.
draw your own logos. I mean, this is
Yeah.
pre-digital. Everything was hand drawn or typeset.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what prompted him to just go, I'm going to start doing metal shows now, and he just pieced it together, found the right people, and next thing you know, you got a metal scene going.
I think that he knew everybody at like the places that would have us,
Right.
like at the Ritz and Esther's Follies, which is like an entertainment troupe. Like they do a comedy show and a drama show downtown on 6th Street in Austin, Texas. If anyone listening
Yeah.
who's out of state or overseas knows, it was basically like a mini Broadway, but it was more of a comedy
Right.
troupe and dance and sing
Yeah.
and stuff to entertain downtown Austin. And it used to be at the Ritz Theater, and so he knew
Yeah.
them already. And on their off nights, like they would let us throw metal shows in there midweek, Tuesday,
Yeah.
Wednesday, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you remember of that show? That's your first gig. You started all this by saying you were basically a drummer. You kind of gravitated towards singing. Now you're doing your first show with Watchtower,
Yeah.
already an established band, Hometown Heroes. You're
Yeah.
on stage for the first time. How are you feeling at that
Nervous.
point? Yeah. What do you remember about the gig?
Well, there are pictures of me on stage, and you can see all across the front of the stage in 17 by 11 pieces of paper, all the lyrics written down, 'Cause
I still do that.
I did not want to forget,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's me. I do it as a crutch, but
whether
whether I
in
know them
case,
or not, I just have
Right.
it here because
just in case.
any
I-
moment my brain is just gonna fall out.
I still have, a cheat note here and there,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But that show was it was amazing because the crowd was really just eating it up. All the bands, Militia, Watchtower, and Wizard, who came down from San Antonio. And
so the story about you and me going down, and we talk about Ricky Warhide and Don Tavern and the S.A. Slayer and that whole scene down there, that you and I and maybe even Billy White went down, maybe it was two
down
trips,
there.
to hang out with all those, our new friends, our new heavy metal connection in San Antonio. Militia wasn't quite together yet. Is that true?
Right.
Is that true?
That's true. Yeah, we were, I think
that would have been 82, 83. That right there kind of trips me out because I just feel like Militia and you have been around forever.
Yeah, I'm starting to try to think about that. Like, you're right. I was going down there with you and stuff, and I guess I had not been in.
It hadn't happened. The Militia connection hadn't happened. There was no birthing yet.
Right.
Wow. Okay, that way puts it in perspective.
That's true,
dude. You guys caught up immediately, like overnight. You guys caught up. Wasn't your second gig opening for Slayer?
I think it may have been the second gig. The second gig was actually. Hold on. It was Watchtower carrying Militia.
Okay. How many gigs did Militia do before they were on the bill with Slayer? We're talking Slayer from, Rain and Blood Slayer. Right.
I think we did, after those two shows I just talked to you about, I think that's when we did the 3 shows in Texas with Nasty Savage.
Oh, that's right. Holy moly.
And then the Slayer show came.
What cities were you in with Nasty Savage?
Austin, San Antonio, and Houston.
Wow.
Yeah, and I have that incredible picture of me, you, and Nasty Ronnie, Jason on stage headbanging.
Consolidated Arts Warehouse.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite photos, and I know I have that somewhere.
Yeah.
Nasty Ronnie just invited us on stage to headbang and just spit in the microphone.
Yeah.
What do you remember about the Slayer gig?
The Slayer gig, from what I remember, I think who was it? Was it Rob? He was telling me, we were up there putting our stuff up, and we had this our Militia logo thing up there.
Rob Willingham, bass player from Militia.
I think he had overheard or one of the Slayer guys say, "What is that supposed to say?" Kind of in a, I can't read that, whatever, That was kind of funny. I don't know if it's true.
Is it the logo, like it's hand painted on a piece of plywood and it's got the demon spreading it? Okay.
That one. Yeah. And we still have that logo to this day.
Yeah.
So speaking of Slayer, the Slayer versus Slayer gig in San Antonio is a piece of Texas metal history.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. And a lot of people may not know that you were on that bill as well. Militia opened that show.
Yeah.
How long are you a band when you get that gig, and what do you remember about that day?
Well, let's see. I think we were only a full-fledged band a couple of months. I think from the first show, maybe three months. And
I think that I want to say maybe the S.A. Slayer guys got you on there.
Yeah, I'm to this day I'm going, how did we get on that?
Because Chris Gates, it was a no-brainer. Chris Gates brought Slayer to Austin and was like, Militia and Watchtower. Just right. It was a no-brainer. We were the go-to bands all the time because we knew Chris, right?
So we got that gig, and of course we were like, wow, this is going to be great, playing in San Antonio, because we love San Antonio as well, because they really have the metal scene over there. So, and so that show was incredible. It was packed, as you can probably guess, to the rafters. People, everyone was hot in there.
Tell us about. I know a story. Uncle Mike, tell us the one about when you guys had a little sound check, and it was right before Doors.
That's right.
Tell us that one.
Yeah. Well, I'm surprised we even had a sound check. But anyway, we got a sound check, and it was probably around 3 o'clock, maybe 2 o'clock, maybe. we're on there and we do a sound check.
I can't believe that, because usually, were the other bands even loaded in that fucking early?
Yeah, something. I don't know what it is. I can't remember, to be honest.
Okay,
I don't remember
it doesn't matter, because the line outside is part of this story, so that probably was later in the day. But who am I to correct you?
Yeah, it might have been, but I don't. I remember doing the sound check. Like, okay, let's play whatever, one of the songs. And we played it, and when we stopped the song, it was like you hear this giant roar outside,
So badass.
And we're like, there's people outside already, and after that, pop my head out, and there's a huge line, of course, going around the place and stuff. And
lining up early in downtown San Antonio.
Everybody wanted to be on the front row of that show.
Right.
Roaring for a band they've never heard of before.
Right, exactly. Or just even hearing murmurings of, or something to that effect.
Well, I'm sure
it's San Antonio. All they need to hear is some distortion and some power chords too.
Yeah.
Well,
some double picking, and
I feel like
amped up.
Especially if you guys played one of your speedy songs, if you just rip right into the speedy song, they're ready to hear some thrash metal. They're coming in early to see San Antonio's favorite boys, S.A. Slayer, and of course the band that they have records from, that they have at least Show No Mercy and Haunting the Chapel. But then they get to hear something that they've never heard. Is this band from Austin? What, a band from Austin? And then you guys rip into Metal Act. They're probably going, what? So I thought that ain't no Willie Nelson.
Well, they were probably thinking, if they're friends of Watchtower, that's good enough for me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Well, let's hope so.
So how long after a band, how long are you a band when you start compiling what would become your discography? I know it starts with demos, and then you eventually, so how long are you a band, and then when do you start building what became your catalog?
Man, that's time sequences for that stuff. Rob Willingham is so good at this stuff, but I would say not too much long after the Slayer, shows that we kind of said, okay, I think we need to, get something out there. So I think we went to a place called Austin Tracks here in Austin, and we were going to do 4 songs on there, and we didn't finish the 4th song because we ran out of money, right? So we just did the 3, and that was the Regiments of Death demo. Right, and we packaged those. Even that is sought after. Yeah, we packaged those, of course, and we sold them at gigs and sold them at Hog Wild, and they kept calling us, "Hey, we're out."
Is it true that? And hold that thought, because this is a good long answer you're about to give.
Right.
Is it true that the cover is the same with the the marching troops with the rifles and stuff? Is it true that is a Chris Gates piece of art that you just used on the demo, or was the demo? I can't remember what the demo art looked like.
No, I think Chris Gates got that from some comic book.
Okay.
Which I don't know.
What was on the Militia demo?
On the Militia
cover,
demo?
the cassette cover.
I think it was pretty much the same thing as what's on the Sibling. The shield with the M there. I think it was the exact same thing.
Okay. That you might be right. And now this is 1984, early 85, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And what songs what songs ended up? So you ran out of money, and what were the songs that made it, that got mixed?
I think the songs that made it were Metal Axe, Regiments of Death. And I think, oh, come on, it's right there. See, I should research.
Was Thrash to Destroy written?
I think that was the one that I ended up doing. This sucks. My memory is crap, but I think it was, it may have been Thrash to Destroy.
Okay.
Right.
And the lyrics. Let's talk about this earliest recordings. Mike, it's totally fine that you don't remember the songs that are on there. The lyrics were written by Phil Ashay, the drummer.
By Phil, yeah.
And
Phil,
this is, I'm getting somewhere with this, so just bear with me. What were they about? Were they just about bloody death and headbanging and thrashing and
all the push button words that you need to create a thrash song?
The cornerstones of thrash
that make people react. Blood, swords, marching,
right?
Village,
killing posers,
demons.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think we just wrote a song, guys.
Yeah. No, we did. So the interesting thing is this is, still going. I still want to piggyback Dave's question because when was it that you started writing lyrics, and what was? Do you remember the first set of tunes that you wrote lyrics for in Militia?
I want to say it was. I think I had a hand in writing Objective Termination with Tony.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I think he may have had the initial lyrics, and I think I may have put some stuff in there and added Objective Termination, and that may have been it. And then, of course, we'll get to that later. The other demo, the No Submission demo, but that's farther on down. That I wrote the lyrics to that.
Yeah.
But we were still pretty much using all the old material, of course. I mean, you're talking about a band to this day that has the least repertoire, available,
So how many songs, including the new record, if you bunched them, what are we talking about? How many tunes does Militia actually have?
Okay.
Not that you would play live if you were going to play a show tomorrow, but
just all of them.
Just all of it together. Could you say maybe 20 songs?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. That's a small discography.
It's very small.
Right. And that's including No Submission, which was a different version of the band.
Yeah.
Same rhythm section, different guitarist, one guitarist.
Yeah. Right.
Phil Patterson. When the band, let's go back a little bit and talk about the sibling.
Yes.
And the sibling is actually, tell us about the song The Sibling, and then the story about the original pressing on vinyl, your first vinyl release, and then all of the cool stories that stack on top of that years later.
Right.
Connect those as well. You know what I'm saying? How long after, you and Tony were writing Objective Termination, and whatever else, at that point that you decided to make vinyl, which was an EP, 3 or 4 songs, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that ended up coming out in 85 or 86. And so it may have been a little while after the demos that we started thinking about, okay, let's record some of the other stuff, the other songs we have.
Sibling and what else?
Sibling, Metal Axe.
On the Sibling EP is Metal Axe, Sibling, and what else?
Metal Axe, Salem Square.
That's right.
Yeah, Salem Square. And,
which is about witches.
It's about witches, about burning witches. Burning witches.
Of course it's about burning witches.
Yeah, more push button words
exactly.
To rile up the people and make them go like this or like this.
It's 1985.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the song The Sibling, I can't remember how that even came up, who thought of that, but it's just kind of this the song The Sibling is kind of this journey, or I wouldn't say journey, evolution of the Antichrist coming back and stuff. Buttons, more buttons,
right?
But no words, So we just kind of made it about that, the world accepts evil and stuff like that, So it really doesn't have any huge significance about anything, but Other
So the
than,
sibling is an instrumental that just
yes,
was a cool title for a heavy metal
exactly.
EP. Okay.
Yeah. Like,
Well,
like God Hates Us All from Slayer, that Tom Araya said. It just sounds cool.
it's just an awesome. It's just I think that you, especially with a band like Slayer, and
Exactly.
the lyrics that those guys write, I think that you're just trying to outdo your last.
Correct.
You're trying to out metal the last
Yeah. How much
phrase or
more,
album title. Yeah,
yeah.
it's all about trying to be more evil than the last thing you shit
And
out.
my eyebrows wrinkle even more.
Right. Yeah.
But the sibling is arguably the most sought after collectible in the Militia
Yeah.
catalog. So, what's the craziest amount of money you've ever heard that thing going for?
I've heard 4,000.
How many copies are out there?
Officially now, I've heard about some that have been accidentally sat on and thrown away, and ended up in the Corpus Christi dump. Because
How many did you?
we only did 100.
You only did 100
Originally.
Okay, well
And,
that's why.
so now there's 94, I think. It's even more rare if you think about it. But I've always told people, the sibling is definitely more popular than the band Militia.
Yeah.
Right.
So on that same thread, you're relatively speaking a fairly short-lived band in Texas metal history, but obviously made a very important mark. So having said all that, what's the farthest away you've ever heard from a fan or somebody that acknowledged your existence and made you go, "Oh my God, how do these people even know we were around?" Can you tell me, what's the craziest communication or fan mail or whatever?
I might even say, back in the day, I might even say like Russia or something. We may have gotten one from Russia or something, but I know it was definitely a lot of German and European fan mail that we got.
And that speaks volumes too when you consider the time we're talking about. There is no internet, so
No internet.
they find this band from Texas that's underground to begin with, has only been around for 3, 4, 6 months, maybe.
Yeah.
And fan mail is coming in from Russia. Are they aware of you over there?
Right. Well, I think we were also sending in demos to a lot of the fanzines, the little DIY fanzines that people were putting out, because they were just fanatics. They needed. So we're like, hey, let's send them this, and that's probably how the Militia word got out as well.
Has there ever been any thought about reissuing the sibling, since there's obviously a demand for it, or is this a case of don't mess with something that's so sacred?
We recently did that.
Oh, did you? Okay.
We recently released the sibling, we call it the second pressing, because it looks exactly like the first one.
Okay.
I think even the sleeve on the inside is the same, everything. And, there was for a long time, I was very, like, oh, everybody wants to release a sibling again, or the Militia material again. And I'm like, oh man,
You're talking about a reissue that was like 30 years later, though.
Yeah, no, I know.
25 years later, there was a reissue.
Yeah. And
that's crazy.
Even before the sibling, the just recently in January release, we did 2 other compilations of stuff with the same material and stuff.
Yeah.
But, so when they approached us about re-releasing the sibling, second pressing, I was kind of like, oh man, beating people over the head with the same stuff over and over and over. But they must want it. So I just said, yeah, let's do it. Go ahead. And it sold, like the box sets, they sold out in like 2 hours, I think.
So you just said box set without telling us about the box set. What is the box set? When did that come out, and what can you get in the box set?
That also came out at the same time as the album, the sibling re-release. Now, in that box set is an actual sibling album the two demos, cassettes, the Regiment's demo and the No Submission demo, and a throwback baseball black and white jersey Militia sibling T-shirt.
Oh, nice.
And
There's no booklet or poster or.
I don't think there was a booklet or a poster.
Okay.
And there's a T-shirt. What else do you want?
There's
a booklet and a poster.
There's not a Winnebago in there.
No.
Okay.
But
making sure. There's
so,
not
yeah,
a belt buckle. Oh. Okay. So the craziest is the jump of years.
Yeah.
And this sounds like I'm talking smack, but I'm not. And the lack of material.
Right. Exactly.
Like Dave said a second ago.
Yeah.
What an amazing, the fandom reaches.
Yeah, runs deep.
With
runs
very
deep.
little, just body of work.
Right.
Body of work is small.
That's true.
Yeah. Let's talk about No Submission. And
Okay.
I want to say the lyrics that on No Submission, you wrote all of those.
Yeah.
Okay. And the material is different. Talking to the Stone is one I remember. What else was on that demo? And then I want to talk about the lineup change.
I think it was Talking to the Stone and just No Submission.
Oh, just two songs.
2 songs. I think
Okay.
So, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And, that, of course, I can't remember exactly what year, but Tony had decided to leave the band. And so we were out a guitarist. And around that time, I think it was 87, we had met Phil Patterson. He had just moved.
And Jesse had jumped when?
Jesse he didn't jump. We kind of pushed him.
Oh, okay.
He was, from what I understand, he was just not, it came very close to a show in San Antonio where we were being urged to go on, and Jesse was not even there yet. He was still at the hotel or something, and blah, 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 blah. And kind of those little things happening. And so I guess we had all decided, let's just go as a 4-piece. Right. Anyway, so that's what happened, and then we continued as a 4-piece.
I'm glad you kissed and made up later.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I'll tell the story about that too.
Okay,
at some point.
Yeah.
So fast forward again, we ended up meeting Phil Patterson. Where did I meet? I may have met him at Austin High, and he had just moved from Florida, and he was a guitarist and stuff, and metal guitarist. And we're like, yeah, come on over, let's jam, or you want to try out or whatever. And he was in. But around that same time, that's when Queensryche was coming out with, was it Rage for Order or something?
The Warning?
Maybe The Warning and Rage for Order. And I started getting, of course, Jeff Tate. I'm like, oh man, this guy can really sing. And we were all getting into their style. And so we kind of started, okay, we can do this. We got this. No, you don't. we did the songs, and we recorded them, and then after listening to them after a while, I was like, I'm not really a fan. I'm not a fan
of what you guys were producing that was stylistically maybe influenced by this fairly new band, Queensryche.
This kick-ass band that knows how to do it. Right.
Yeah.
Well, I know there's a lot of San Antonio bands that were very influenced by Queensryche.
Yeah. I mean, I think we were coming from a thrash thing and trying to not do thrash, at least for these songs. Mm-hmm. And we were like, okay, we got this. No, you don't. So anyway.
Well, I mean, when you think about even your content, you're writing the lyrics, and Philip is not writing the lyrics at this point.
Right. Yeah.
And talking to the Stone and No Submission, I'm sure they had some violence, and they were very metal, and they were very dramatic and all that. But it wasn't, metal acts about just chopping off people's heads and going, what are you looking at? Right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
no, it's
go ahead, Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
I lost my train of thought. I think I was going to say.
That's okay. That's all right.
I think I was going to say something like, the songs on there were definitely a little more mellow, of course, and maybe we were just trying to do something new.
Well, I think they might have been a little. I'm not trying to give it a review. I thought it was pretty good, and I feel like in the end, you were unhappy with where that direction. I mean, I guess the good news is it was only a couple of songs, and it was
right.
You were not guessing, but you were just trying new stuff, which is that's great.
Right. New stuff is doing new stuff is always a good thing, I think.
I think the songs just so people listening can kind of have. You went from like 100 miles an hour to a slightly altered lineup, which maybe had more of like a plodding gallop as opposed to just speed metal, right?
Yes.
And again, what's the title of this release?
No Submission.
No Submission. Okay.
The demo.
So I wanted to ask you. You said early on that you didn't start as the lyricist in the band. It was something that you contributed later. I wanted to know how you go from zero to the lyricist and how you develop your style and how that comes about if you hadn't never done it before.
Good question.
That, and I've thought about this quite a lot about, for instance, I wrote pretty much about 99% of the new release that we have, and that happened all at once. It just came out. Sometimes I'll be.
And so you're talking about "And the Gods Made War."
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Back to No Submission.
Right. No Submission. I think I just went for it. I didn't. I kind of knew what I was doing, but kind of didn't. You know what I mean? I didn't have a style yet, I don't think. When it came to writing songs, I just wrote stuff down and tried it out and see what came out. And if I liked it, I'm like, okay, that's a take or whatever. But I still have trouble writing lyrics. I still do. Rob was like, "How did you come up with these lyrics for the new one?" I'm talking about the new one because that's the major part of that I did the writing. And I said, I don't know. I hit a brick wall, and then it just opened up, and all this stuff just came out. I don't know what it is. So it either has to just show up at my door, but somehow, I can't.
Also, a lot of people don't know that even when Militia went black or went dormant, right? You continue to write lyrics and songs and sound drops and stuff that, and I've heard a lot of it, and a lot of it sounds like movie soundtrack stuff. You were writing some hip hop stuff, and you were collaborating and producing with other people, and you played drum. You went back to drumming for another band. You never really lost your drum chops. I feel like we're jumping too far forward, but like I said, there's not really any timeline.
Right.
Let's focus on Militia still. Let's talk about "And the Gods Made War," the original recordings, the original idea of its release before Bart Gabriel and the label got a hold of it.
Right. Well, let's go back just slightly even further. Where it all started was how that started was Phil Shea he sold his sibling. I'm going to sell my sibling. He put it on eBay. It sold for $3,000, right? And then Rob was we weren't even a band yet. We're still. Rob said, "I'm going to make a MySpace page and see, Militia one and see what happens."
Wow.
A week later,
MySpace.
That's how far back.
Militia MySpace.
Militia MySpace. And so about a week or so later, there's Oliver from Keep It True going, "Hey, do you guys want to play Keep It True here in Germany?" And we're like, "What?" We're gonna, luckily we had a year and change to practice, because I couldn't remember any of the words. Even listening to the songs, I'm going, "What was I saying there? I can't remember."
Keep It True, for those who don't know, is a massive metal festival over in Europe, correct? Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead. Just
And
some content.
so anyway, while we were practicing for that show, in between songs or something, somebody would come up with a riff or something, and hey, what was that? Just slowly it built throughout that time of practicing, and then we went
This
and we
is
played
this is the original
the
member.
original. Yeah, and
And
as a
how
matter
many
of fact,
years had it been dormant?
what, since 87?
So what year? So what year was this?
This was 2009. I think that we got offered to play.
So
Yeah.
you were like, you guys were like, fuck the 90s. So all in the
Yeah.
90s, you guys didn't even remember each other's name.
We did.
It's like digging up a woolly mammoth or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
Yeah. So anyway, we get invited to this thing, and I think that's where getting back to Jesse, I said, well, I don't want to do it without Jesse. Basically, is what I said.
Smart.
Yeah, I don't want to do it
Smart.
without Jesse. And so we got Jesse on the phone. He was like, yes. We went, we played, and we came back, and we looked at each other. Okay, now what? Now what do you want to do? Well, we have these songs that we were kind of goofing around with.
Hold on. Let's stir the pot a little bit. Tell us about
Okay.
your experience after all those years
Yeah.
from 90. What was it? 87
87.
to 2009. I'm not even going to do the math, but that's a long effing time.
That's a long time. Yeah.
Okay, so you go to Germany. You hadn't even done a gig in 1,000 years. Wait, you guys
Right.
did some warm-up shows, right?
Yeah, we did here.
Yeah.
I think here in Austin or one in San Antonio, something to that
Yeah,
effect.
yeah. And so you're in Germany at Keep It True. What was your slot? What time did you go on? You remember
I think
midday?
we went on around 5 or something like that.
Okay, that's pretty good. Knowing
Yeah,
that thing starts at like noon,
Yeah, that's pretty
it's
decent.
pretty good.
And so
They have like 12 bands a day too. So
Exactly.
there you go.
so it was really good, and we had another show also in Frankfurt after that.
Oh, that's right. I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, we so we get there the day before, and we're like, this is amazing. You drive up and you see the field of people, from 1984. The jackets, the patches, the whole. You know what I'm saying? You saw it
Oh
yourself.
my God! Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
biting my tongue because
Yeah.
of course, you and I have done those enough to have like
Yeah.
these learning experiences
Yeah.
about it. And I'll just share. So
Yeah, do it.
don't forget, Dave. Help us remember where we are in our story because I have to just vomit this on you guys.
Yeah, please do.
And you can back me up. You guys can back, at least Mike can back me up.
Mm-hmm.
When we were in high school and you saw like pictures of Kerrang magazine with all these people with all these patches all over their jackets
Yeah.
at all these European rock festivals and heavy metal festivals and stuff like that, you
Yeah.
just thought that was like this really cool kind of glammed out look that they had where they,
Yeah.
here, I got this one at Keep It True and I got this one at Bang
Yeah.
Your Head and I got this one at Isle of Wight, and I got this one, naming
Yeah.
off all these places they got all these patches from. It's
Right.
kind of like a tattoo,
Yeah.
it tells a story and there's this whole thing. Okay, so, that is like their battle vest, which we've all know now what that's actually, it has a name for
Right.
it. That's your battle vest. Okay.
Right.
But what we didn't realize back then is that if you didn't have one of those, what were you using for your pillow, for your blankie, because people go to those festivals and they stay all day.
Yeah.
And if they have a couple of beers and they go, I'm going to go take a nap for a couple of hours so I can drink some more.
Right.
But they're using it as here you go, to quote Don Van Stavern, coat on chest.
Yeah.
Coat on chest. It's
Yeah.
battle jacket on chest.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
So
yeah.
I learned that by going over there and go, oh, I get it. It's like, man, that's your umbrella, that's your
Yeah.
hat, that's your pillow, that's your life right
Yeah.
there. So no wonder it's very important to have one of those, going to one of those things. If,
Yeah.
if you're walking around with a windbreaker on, you're lame.
Yeah.
Okay, so
You're the security guy.
yeah, that's right. Probably not getting paid. You just got
You know
in
what was-
free. Right.
You know what I noticed real quick? I noticed also when we were there about the whole patches and the battle vests and stuff. All the girls were decked out like that too.
Yeah.
They weren't like in short skirts and skimpy stuff. It was
No.
they were
They're into
right
the
there.
music. They're
Yeah,
into the whole
absolutely.
thing, right? It's
That
it's
was
not
really
a fashion
cool.
show.
That was cool
It's
to
not.
see, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to our experience.
Yes.
We get there the day before, and we're just going to the festival and hang out, and of course people are coming up to us, you know, immediately and wanting to know about Militia and what you've been doing. What are y'all going to do? This, that, and the other thing. Sign this, sign that, and that was cool.
Being recognized in a foreign country 20 years after you've released or touched a microphone, pretty much,
Right.
is kind of
Exactly.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, that is crazy. So it was a bit weird. Not weird in a bad way, but it was like
Of
cool.
course.
Yeah.
So anyway, now it comes the next day where it comes time for us to play and stuff, and I'm a little nervous, but then I just kind of shake it off and I just go up there and do your thing, and
Have fun.
They're gonna enjoy the shit out of it regardless and stuff. And I think we had a couple of technical problems up there, which looking back at and on video is kind of cringy to watch, but overall we had
You can edit that stuff out, man.
yeah. Yeah, right.
That's what we do.
Overall, we had a great time. Met great people. You know, there was no violence. No people, you know, shoving each other in a horrible manner and stuff. It was just such a brotherhood and sisterhood of fun and metal. And you know, there was no. I don't think I saw any police there or real security to. You know, they didn't have to.
Yeah.
And that's the great thing about that festival, you know, is you can go up there and you can have a pit if you like, and if somebody falls down, they pick you up and get you back in rotation. But
I've always thought it was really cool that, you know, we're talking about Militia here, but we could say the same about Watchtower.
Yeah.
And
Or
I think,
rigor mortis, or
yeah, I think it
That's amazing.
speaks. It makes a point about the bands, but maybe even more importantly, it makes a point about the fans in Europe and especially in Germany, where you know we're talking Militia, we're talking Watchtower, we're talking about bands that have basically been inactive.
Igniter has played Keep It True.
yeah,
Yeah, but we're
Igniter
talking
played
about
it in like 2005 or something.
we're talking about bands that have been basically inactive for decades, and
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
you still get invitations to come play these plays, much like you're describing, and the same I know has happened with Watchtower, and I think that's got to make you feel great just knowing that you're remembered all these years later, especially in a foreign land. It would be really cool if you were remembered all those years later right here in America, but then to have this audience overseas that's across the ocean, and they still remember and still want you there, and they show up and they sing the lyrics and they want your autograph, and that's got to be pretty cool.
They're the ones. I love it, Dave. What you're talking about, I get excited about it. It makes me want to just blurt out that they're the ones that created legend.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The word legend they're using freely about the bands that they're talking about, that you're talking about, that we are talking about.
Yeah, and some of the collectability that we talked about earlier could probably be traced back to not so much here. Obviously, it is here, but I mean, I'd wager that a lot of it stems from, you know, the fandom and the demand and the desire to own that stuff overseas.
I think I even at that particular show, I even thanked the bootleggers for taking the 7-inch bootleggers,
Keeping the name alive. Yeah.
Japan, and you know, what can you do? I'm not gonna, you know, I'm gonna be like, hey, thanks for doing that. You know.
Yeah. So I wanted to, I don't mean to jump all over the place, but I wanted to go back to a question that sort of piggybacks on my earlier question about you developing your lyric writing style. You're known, of course, for your vocals, your voice and your high register and that sort of thing. So at what point did, you know, I mean, and Jason could probably answer this too, but at what point do do you realize that you can do that? I mean, you're listening to guys like Rob Halford, Bruce Dickinson, Jeff Tate, and you're going, oh my God. And then, I mean, just how do you, because it doesn't even seem human. I mean, how do you develop a style like that from scratch?
I think.
And then how do you maintain it, more importantly? Because as we know, I can say this about Jason and you after listening to And the Gods Made War, and you guys have played out live in recent years, and people still say you've still got it. So how do you develop it, and how do you maintain it all these years?
I don't even take care of it. I just whatever, you know what I mean? And if it happens, if it comes out good, it comes out good. Like there's been times where I'm at rehearsal, and I'll be like, oh, this is not going to work, man. Oh, I can't believe I'm sounding like this at rehearsal. And then I get to the show, and it came out pretty good. It came out a lot better than I thought. So it's just kind of the luck of the draw for me. Yeah. You know, I know guys like Jason that he practices and he knows, he knows about the throat and all that stuff, and I don't. I just
got you fooled.
Oh, I just cross. This is what I do.
Yeah,
I cross my fingers.
Cross your fingers. Yeah.
And if I realize in the first two songs that it's not going to happen the way I want it to, it's punk rock time.
Well, there's the old There's the old joke, and you put rubber band around your balls, or wear tight pants, or both, right?
Punk rock time. I love it. It's punk rock time.
So the punk. I've heard Mike use the punk. It's man, I'm just gonna punk. Sometimes you got to be a punk,
Yeah.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I've interviewed Rob Halford a few times in my past life as a journalist. And I asked him the same question. He said his answer was just what yours was. He's like, I don't know. Somehow I've been blessed with it. I don't do anything special. I don't warm up. It's served me well. And for some reason, I get out there every night and it just happens.
It's so like
the rumor mill is the same for Ronnie James Dio, that he never warmed up. He goes, I heard somebody ask him, so what do you do to warm up? And he says, well, if you have to warm up, you don't have anything. You don't even have it. You don't even have it. Like warm up. That doesn't. You can't talk if you can't.
I guess
if I can talk, I can go on stage.
It just goes to show that it's different for everybody. But
it's like some people are blessed with certain tones and stuff, right? That just sound really good, even though they're not the best singer in the world. Sometimes they just have great tones or something, and it makes the song.
I feel like that's more important than being able to do party tricks and cartoon sounds, which is what me and Mike kind of do anyway.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever told people I'm a singer. I think I've always said I'm a frontman.
Yeah, you can sing though. You can sing. People don't know you as like sort of a melancholy singer, but you can sing. You can sing.
Yeah, I have.
So I think that, and I have some theories because, I'm teaching all the time. I'm working with young singers all the time. So it's kind of like what's good for the goose, right? And I have to like take my own medicine when I tell a young person what it is I feel like they might be doing wrong.
Yeah.
And I make suggestions all of the time, but it's not any different than things that I feel like me and Mike tell ourselves anyway.
Yeah.
And we're not making it be about me. I'm making this be about the techniques involved.
Yeah.
I feel like the bigger the mouth, the higher the note, and the easier it is to hit.
Yeah.
So whenever you see Mike with his chops wide open, that makes that note easier to hit when his dentures are on the floor.
Yeah.
Right? It makes that note come out. It's in key and it's loud. So if you're trying to sing that high of a note that's in the stratosphere through your teeth, meaning your mouth is not wide open, you're going to be flat, meaning it's not going to be in key.
Right.
And it's going to sound like ass. It's not going to be there for you.
And you may have noticed that I don't really use vibrato that much on my stuff. Maybe I should throw a little in there to ride that note and keep it from
some people
flying
think
away.
some people think the vibrato can help you be in pitch a little better because you're kind of like bending the note and coming back in. That's not necessarily true vibrato. You know, like a guitar, when you press a note and you pick the string and bend the string, you're bending it out of tune slightly and then letting it come back in.
Yeah.
So it's like sharp and then back in tune and sharp and back in tune. Okay?
Yeah.
So if a singer does that, you're out of tune, you're in tune, you're out of tune, you're in tune. It still creates the similar drama. True vibrato, like when you see classical instruments, they're shaking their hand, but they're not bending the string in and out of key. They're shaking their hand. That is a true vibrato. My theory is this. Guys are gonna think I'm some kind of metaphysical hippie physics nerd or something, but it's the weight of the note upon itself.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? It's the weight of the note. It's the weight of the note upon itself. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, like when you're changing the pressure, you know, when you're changing, you're not moving the string around.
Right.
You're moving your hand. I'm talking cello, violin, whatever. They're not bending those strings. It's a different theory altogether.
Yeah.
True vibrato, even in a voice, works the same way.
Oh.
I can't teach anyone how to do that, but that's the theory that I have.
Wow.
So it's just and I feel like being able to just do what you do, Mike, there is a lot of trial and error, and you've already figured out how to get there and how to hold it. Dude, that's one thing I can't believe. I'll ask why. So Mike has always been able, and I kind of pisses me off sometimes, but Mike has always been able to hit the high note and hold it for like 20 minutes. And I can only hold it for, I don't know, 5 minutes or whatever. And I'm totally kidding. I can't do shit for 5 minutes.
It's down to like, now mine is down to like 5 minutes now.
Well, it's impressive that you've been able to like, so my theory with that, and you can tell me what it feels like when you do that. My theory about that is you know how you blow up a balloon?
Yeah.
But you don't tie the knot?
Yeah.
And you can let the air out slowly by pulling apart the place where the tie would be.
Yeah.
You're letting the air out slowly to make that note happen, right? And if you let go, it just goes, and then the note's over. The show's over, right?
Yeah.
If you just let go. But if you just regulate that air, is that what that feels like?
That pretty much nails it. That's pretty much what it feels like, is to not waste all your breath on that note real quickly. You just gotta, use it sparingly and time it out to how long you want to do it.
Right. And do you feel like it's very loud when you're doing that, or you're in control of that? Because I also have a theory that if you're just screaming and going for it, you're going to hurt yourself. You're going to blow your voice out. And that's just common sense,
which I've done.
Right? We all have.
Yeah.
But if you're using all of your air sparingly, it's amazing how many shows you can do the next day, and pretty much be fine. Sure, there's some fatigue, but you can still do the gigs one after the other if you're careful about how loud you are. And that's just consistently paying attention to how much air you're using when you push.
Right. And then, add trying to keep that, like you said, the energy and the air, and then you're up there headbanging and moving and jumping around. It's like, so you got to use that sparingly too.
That is correct.
Yeah. So spend a little time talking about "And the Gods Made War." It's your latest release. It's not necessarily new material, but it is a new version. And correct me if I'm wrong on the web. Tell us about that release, where people can buy it, what's on it. Just kind of summarize it for us.
And the Gods Made War is basically a remixed, remastered version of Strength and Honor. There it is.
Yeah, Jason.
And I'm going to give you.
So Strength and Honor was the same record.
What we call now the Bastard Son demo of that.
Okay, I love where this has gone. Basically, like on a dime. So go
Yeah.
back to Strength and Honor. Give us a year. Give us lineup. Tell us a story about
Right.
what lineup change may or may not have happened because of this
Right.
new Militia and the new and improved Militia. I'll just say it. And what
Yeah.
year was Strength and Honor being worked on?
Strength and Honor, I think that was 2012. We had come back from Germany, and then it took a little time for us to write all the songs, get them pieced together. Of course, me to write lyrics, and then we got into I had a recorder. Tony had a recorder. It was total DIY, and we recorded it at Jesse's garage and anywhere else we could, at Mike Busher's house, because we thought we knew what we were doing.
So not real studio. It was just
No.
it's a new world. You can record a record in your closet.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, with what skills we had of doing that, and that's iffy, but it came out. The recordings came out pretty good. Now the mixing, I know you know about this, Jason, because you were like, you guys should get this done.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, or I should say, I'm fine with you bringing it up. That I'll take the rocks that people might throw. But when you played me Strength and Honor the first time,
yeah,
even raw tracks where you turn things. I mean, I'm at your house and you're showing me, you're pushing faders up and things like that. When you had mixes, it wasn't so much about me judging what was happening there while it's still on the recorder, pre not mixed. When I heard mixes of it, it was concerning to me that, well, this is not even a word, demo-y, right? It sounded like a demo. Now, on the side note, I know people who worship. That's what they want. They want lo-fi. They want it to be all like raw and crazy sounding.
Yeah.
They're going to listen to it on a cassette and listen to it on a crappy boombox, and they love that.
Right.
And those black metal bands from the early '80s, Bathory, that dude recorded all his stuff. He goes into a store. Give me the crappiest microphone you have. Nope, that's too nice. And he recorded everything with that. Recorded the drums with that. Recorded the vocals with it. Recorded the bass with it, etc.
Yeah.
And it just sounds like it's just gnarl, right?
Right.
This was sounded like John Williams writing the score for Star Wars compared to Bathory. It was still demo-y, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Okay, so I was bummed about that, and I was trying to make suggestions, and it was more of like, I know you guys didn't have any money or anything. It was like, well, we'll see, we'll think about it, And I'm glad that what you're about to tell us about did happen a while later. So, Strength and Honor, you've recorded this record on your own.
Yeah.
Did it come out?
Well, the word "come out" these days is more like, we sold it at our shows. We, put it on the Facebook, and people bought it here and there and stuff. So technically, it didn't come out, right?
Was it like CDRs, or was it an official?
No, it was official.
It was an official. Strength and Honor is an official. I wonder if I have that.
You should. I think I gave you.
I'm sure you did.
But So anyway, that is considered the bastard demo son of what is now
what came to be. So who is it? Is Strength and Honor, and this is important to our listeners. Strength and Honor, is that the original lineup?
That is the original lineup, except I'm playing the drums.
Okay, that's what I was going for. Why?
Well, at the time, Phil is still living in Alabama.
He's Alabama man.
He's Alabama man, So, getting him down here to record or learn the songs and stuff, it was just going to be a nightmare, right? So I said, you know what? I wrote the songs on the drums anyway. I mean, I was the one drumming when we were practicing and doing it all. I said, that way it stays an original member, band. instead of going, let's find somebody new and teach him everything. No, we don't got time for that. So I did the drums. So it was just us and the original band.
Well, I'm sure Phil was not knew that the Militia name was not going to be tarnished by your drumming, because you can fucking play drums.
Yeah, well, that came out pretty good considering I had been practicing all this time for a long time with Militia, as a matter of fact, for even for most of the show that we played in Germany, because Phil was in Alabama. So I was all this time too also.
So you guys could write and rehearse
anyway.
Pre-production, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I had plenty of practice by then, by the time we got to record it. And so, we released it and, sold it at shows and blah, blah, blah. And people said exactly what you said. It sounds raw and like from back in the day. And so, we believed that was it. Okay, well, we're going to ride that, And I always knew, that, I know this thing could have been mixed. We should have listened, to Jason.
Well, in hindsight, don't thrash your,
no
regrets. No regrets.
No, I think the songs were really good. I think the songs were good songs, and in the back of my head, always kind of reimagining what they might have sounded like if they'd have had the punch, right? Which we now have.
Yes.
Right. So what is the difference between the previous version? Obviously the production values are, but is there a different lineup, or are there bonus tracks? Is the cover art different? Take us from the previous release to where we are today, and so fans of yours know what to look for and what to expect.
Well, it's the same lineup,
okay,
and the cover art is completely different. I did the original cover art, which is it came out pretty good, but, I think when I suggested it to Bart, I think we were both on the same kind of wavelength thinking about, what if we do a new cover and stuff? And we just kind of decided, why don't we just make this the official release? And we'll call the Strength and Honor the demo of this, and officially. Like, okay, so... they remixed it. I happened to stumble upon all the tracks, all the individual tracks. I had all the CDs and stuff.
all the stems. Right?
Yeah, and because all he wanted to do was just remaster the actual Strength and Honor on its own, right, without any of the individual tracks.
Which could have been a step up, but thank God you found all those stems.
And I found them by accident a little bit. And I said, I have some good news and bad news. I said, I can't find any uncompressed versions of these songs, WAV files, but I found all the individual tracks. And he's like,
mind blown. And this is Bart you're talking about?
Bart, yeah.
So Bart Gabriel is Bart Gabriel is like a god.
Yeah. And I ran into, he talked to me at the thing we did in Germany. That's when he talked to me about it.
Bart Gabriel is like, he's well known in the metal community in Europe and beyond.
Yeah.
He's a promoter. He has record labels. He's a producer. He's a metal fan.
Yeah.
He's one of the greatest assets that the metal community could have. I would love to have him on this show just to go tell us your whole fucking story.
Dude, that'd be easy to do.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
It would be easy also. He'd be like, yeah, let's do it.
Set it up for me, Mike. So check this out. High Roller Records, that's him, right?
Yeah, and Skull. I think Skull Records as well.
Skull, that's his one of his sub labels.
Yeah,
right. Cover art by Roberto Todorico.
Yeah,
I hope I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
And produced and mastered by Bart, mixed by Cedric Forsberg at Studio 2 Beat 2020.
Yeah.
This thing sounds amazing. So night and day. The fact that you found those, it's like I almost wish Metal Dave could have heard Strength and Honor so we can look at this and go, what the hell happened? Right?
Yeah.
Mike sent me the tracks for "And the Gods Made War," and I was listening to that. And now you mentioned that you played drums on the previous version.
So let me jump in here and go, Dave. Nothing is different.
Okay,
Yeah.
It's the same exact tracks.
So my point being that Mike is playing drums again on.
Nothing was re-recorded. It was
Right.
it's the same record. If Sean Weingartner were here, he would go, "It's a tame."
Yeah, right. Okay.
Like the
So-
exact same thing, but it's
Yeah.
amazing what you open these tracks up within the right programs.
Yeah.
And you reamp the guitars and you reamp the drum mics and you find some vocal treatments and some plugins for the vocals and basically it's not any different than what if you got good signal you can make an almost worthless track of a vocal track or a bass track or what you can reamp that and use some sound replacement application, make it sound like God.
Yeah.
All you need is good signal. So that's exactly, you needed the magicians to
the
make
pros.
this a modern.
Yeah.
In hindsight, it's really awesome that you have Strength and Honor because it is what people would probably look for when they think about a band from back then.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's kind of a cool thing, even though I was like trying to get the money sound happening early on.
Right.
I'm actually, in hindsight, I'm actually really happy that that's actually a thing. And I think some of those tracks, you can hear them on like YouTube.
Oh yeah, I think there's
You
one or
can.
two.
It's Strength and Honor tracks are on YouTube.
Yeah. It was really funny, thinking about it now, kind of like, I've got these nice, Rocket 8 KRKs, so it sounds good coming out of here. What's the problem, and then later on going, okay, let's leave this to the pros from now on.
Yeah.
So you've got this new album, and obviously, COVID and the lack of touring and the lack of venues and that sort of thing.
Right.
But are you and the band ready to go if things open up and you get a chance to get out there and promote this?
As a matter of fact, I think we have set up a rehearsal for the 28th of this month and kind of dust off the cobwebs and kind of regroup and look at each other and go, what's the deal? What are we gonna do?
So we lost Jesse a while back.
Yeah. 2016, I believe.
Yeah, and then it was basically health issues. He was not very healthy.
Yeah, and he passed suddenly.
Yeah.
He was at his mom's house and they were talking, and he literally said, "Mom, do you see the light?" And he just fell like that.
The guitar work on that record is, it's one of the highlights for me. Your voice obviously is cutting through everything because of your singing style, but the guitar playing really grabbed my attention in listening to that. It's a shame he's no longer with us.
Yeah.
I feel like, and I'm sorry, Dave, if I cut you off, but here's the deal. I've always thought this, and no disrespect to Philip Patterson. I love Philip Patterson.
Oh, yeah.
He's an ace guitar player.
Yeah.
But you guys were also doing something different at that time, so it wasn't a place for me to be butthurt. It was more like, oh, well, the material's different, so it's fitting.
Yeah. Right.
But the thrash militia that everyone fell in love with in the earliest moments of the band, it's Jesse's riffs.
Oh, yeah.
And without Jesse's riffs, I always thought, that that's Jesse. That's Jesse.
Oh, yeah.
And you hear all of that Merciful Fate and all that old like early Metal Blade, heavy metal shit, and all of the thrash, that's Jesse.
Oh, yeah.
Now, when you put Tony, who's completely different style, but is so fast and fluid,
Ridiculous fast,
and can write can write the same kind of riff, but it has a different feel to it.
Yeah.
He's a little, this is not the right word, but it's like jazzier or more progressive than Jesse.
Yeah.
And the marriage of those two working together when making Militia,
Right.
I feel like is what created those early like angry, bloody war themed speed metal songs.
Right. Yeah, they are. They are apples and oranges. Those two guys.
So all of that and more is happening on "And the Gods Made War."
Yeah.
That rhymes, by the way.
Yeah. I particularly like a lot of the leads that Jesse did on there. They just come out of nowhere. Sometimes he would be like when we're writing something, he'd be like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And it'd be some arpeggio. And we're like, "Yeah, well, that's cool, but I think we have a lot of songs that have that." And he'd kind of be like, "Oh, yeah, okay." And then he'd start just playing something. And I'm like, "That right there, what is that?" I guess when he's not really concentrating on writing something, he comes up with something that's just really good. And I'm like,
well, that's the magic.
That's the magic. Exactly.
But he needed you guys to tell him that.
Yeah. Exactly.
The confidence, things that he might have felt confident about,
right,
or may not have had that thing that you need.
Yeah.
It's going to be what is going to be the one that
accidents that happen that are like that's the one right there, that riff right there, so
right.
Yeah.
He really shines on it, and as do you. And I think Militia fans are going to dig it, and even people who aren't familiar with Militia, if this is your first taste of Militia, and you're into all that, mid '80s, the early thrash metal bands, then there's something here for you. You're going to dig "And the Gods Made War." It's a great release.
What's so I was getting to something a little while ago.
Okay.
So you have Tony.
Yeah.
And you don't have Rob Willingham anymore.
No, Rob has decided to step away and kind of take care of his business.
Okay.
And so, of course we respect
I really feel like that Willingham, as well as Jesse, really helped keep the sound of the band together.
Yeah. What's really cool is Rob, when he first started playing bass, he didn't even know how to play bass. He had no idea. He never
didn't know how to tune it or anything.
Nothing.
He had to learn like overnight. I remember those days.
And he stuck to it, and man, he became a really good bass player, man. And he's real proficient and stuff. And he practiced a lot, and he's really good.
Yeah. Like amazing. No one would know that his first and only band he's ever been in was Militia.
Yeah.
It's weird, right?
Exactly.
It's like you don't even know how to walk, and the next day you're running 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It's exactly like that. There was no foreplay whatsoever.
Right. Exactly.
So Rob has been replaced by
Mr. Scott Walmack. You all know Juggernaut back in the day in San Antonio.
Yeah.
We asked him to join, and of course he was very happy to do so. And of course he was an easy choice because he was doing the South Texas Legion with Jason and I, and he learned Militia tunes and Carrier tunes and Watchtower tunes and SX.
He already knows half your material.
There you go.
You guys only have like 5 songs, right?
Exactly. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. And so we were like, well, let's ask Scott. He already knows 2 songs.
Yeah.
And so he was like, yeah, man, I'm ready. Let's do it. And then of course the COVID thing hit and knocked everything to the wayside, and but so we're ready to get back together as a band.
Okay, let's round out the lineup. So you've got it down to 2 original members with you and Tony, correct?
Yes.
You've got Scott Walmack from Juggernaut fame, who if we had him on the show, we could just talk about Scott-isms for an hour,
Right,
because he eventually worked for Sony Music, and when when Dangerous Toys took off, he was like my rep. And I'm like, oh my God, what the hell are you doing? He worked our record, and he worked our record in the Texas markets.
Nice.
It was so weird, Juggernaut Watchtower shows all throughout the 80s, and it's the end of the 80s, and I'm like, what the hell? You're my what? This is surreal.
So he was really gonna do the thing for you.
And he did, and it was a blast. And so your record release party, and there's all these people, and it's pushed by the record stores and the label and he's like right there with you the whole time. This is weird, huh? This is weird. And I'm like, yeah, dude, this is weird.
Yeah.
So Scott Womack, which is awesome. I love Scott to death.
Right. Cool guy.
And then who else do you have?
We have Chip Alexander playing drums, and we found Chip when we went to go see Carrion's reunion. They had gotten Chip to play drums, and I don't think I knew of Chip before that.
So Carrion, a lot for our listeners, is another band from back in the day that for San Antonio, sort of a little bit progressive heavy metal band that it had ex-SA Slayer members in it, one by Art Villarreal, which you also have in Militia now.
Second guitarist in Militia, yeah. Exactly. Wow. We just try and keep it. We can't seem to go outside of the square box of finding brand new people.
You can't leave. You can't leave once you go 1984. You always stay 1984.
Right. Yeah.
Well, with talent like that, why look elsewhere? I mean, that's a solid lineup right there.
You already know where your next move is.
Sure. Well, and you know what I like, and I really love this. No audition.
Yeah.
There's no need to audition. You already know them. It's name recognition.
You guys are you're from the same scene, grew up together, crossed paths a million times. It sounds like a natural fit.
So Chip, he was in Evil Mothers, is that right?
I think so. He was in Evil Mothers. He was in there was another band, Hog Bitch, I think, or something. A group called Hog Bitch. Female singer.
I think it's something like that.
Yeah. I think it was that.
That sounds vaguely familiar.
Anyway, give me a T-shirt.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing is that you 1,000 years later, you have this as close as it can be to the original guys.
Right. Yeah.
In a time where it's probably really hard to just. Well, we're all older now, so it's hard to find a reason why to go and create new metal, or it's a weird head spin of a chore, right? Yeah. But you do it because it's in there, and you're gonna wake up and love it as soon as you get there.
Yeah. Well, I know I've written a couple of songs and had some stuff lying around that I pitched to them, and I'm hoping they'll take those and turn them into what only two guitarists can do.
Well, and I'm gonna sort of like spill the beans that you've also written some guitar riffs. I know you don't play guitar, and you do a lot of stuff, on keyboard.
Yeah.
Because it just seems to be you just find that an easier way to write, but you've written some guitar riffs on keyboard through a patch that doesn't sound too terrible.
Right, exactly. It's the only way I can do guitar stuff. If I come up with something, I can't, call Tony, hey, come on over and play this, and then explain to him, 6 or 7 times, what to do on a guitar. Instead, I'll just do it here. And then you turn it into,
I think there's a lot of singers that write riffs that exact same way.
Yeah. I mean, I have to use
on a piano or on some kind of keyboard patch.
Yeah, so. Absolutely.
That's exciting, man. That's exciting. So, what is in your rehearsing? Are you rehearsing for anything in particular?
Well, we might be having a show possibly on the 18th of December. You know?
With whom?
You guys look like you're about to let us in on a secret.
There might be a little secret going on.
Well-
So years ago, I should turn on the Echoplex.
Yeah, years ago.
Years ago.
Yeah.
Are
well,
we
it's
about to get? Are we going to get an exclusive here?
Well, this is
announcement?
possible. It's not in stone, but
Yeah.
I don't know if you, Dave, if you remember Iron Fist Fest. That's a festival, basically, without calling it Igniter Fest. It's a festival that Igniter has been sort of the behind the
attraction.
scenes, instigator.
Okay.
And last year we had it wasn't last year because of COVID and all that, but it's been a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago. Our headliner was Helstar. We had 2 stages, tons of bands, super fun, such a great time. Mike, you were there, right?
I don't know if I was. Yeah, I was there.
You
Yeah, I
were
was
there. You
Yeah,
were
yeah.
there because
That's
remember
right.
we were running around watching
and
bands
forth.
together.
Yeah,
that
right.
was like old times, man.
Yeah.
And this will be similar. I don't want to say the venue because that's a ways away and it could change.
Subject to
Hopefully
change.
not.
Yeah.
You got an indoor stage and an outdoor stage, right?
Right.
And we're hoping, Igniter is hoping that Militia will be our headliner. So something to really look forward to. A legendary from Austin, Texas, thrash metal band with a couple of OGs in it.
Yeah.
Could be our headliner for Fist Fest, Iron Fist Fest 5.
Well, so far it looks like a go. I've talked to the guys and stuff, and they're pretty fired up. And so it also gives us a goal to work towards. And stuff.
Yeah, and it's only a small goal. You don't have to
Yeah.
play like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Play
Right.
45 minutes, and everyone will be happy with that. There's going
Right.
to be like 10 bands on the damn thing.
Right.
So December 18th is the date. People will hear more about it, and this
Yeah.
episode will be hopefully not forgotten about by then because it's months away. But yeah,
Right. Yeah.
write it down. Right,
We'll keep
Put it on your
we'll keep
calendar.
reminding people and stuff. For
Yeah,
sure.
Militia December 18th, so they know what to Google. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Awesome, Dave. Did you have anything else for Mike? Mike, did you have anything to add?
I can't think of anything more militia related.
What about some of the other things that you
I do?
were doing? What did you do in the 90s? Because there was no Militia in the 90s.
Yeah, in the 90s, I think I was involved with. I think I had initially joined a group called Tanzwaffen, and they were
Say that again.
Tanzwaffen. Tanzwaffen.
German word? What is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Tanz. I think is dance.
Okay.
And Waffen is like force. So it's dance
Oh.
force.
I like it.
Anyway, even back in the day when I was in Militia and Assailant and all that stuff, we forgot to talk about Assailant anyway.
Yeah, we can talk about Assailant real quick. Tell us about Tanzwaffen.
But they were a duo, husband and wife, and they were electronic music, right? And it was kind of around the time when, like I said, it was the 90s. So it was kind of in the whole Depeche Mode, Front 242, kind of somewhat industrial stuff, but not heavy.
A lot of the metalheads, myself included, were doing an industrial type of metal. Yeah.
And so they wanted a drummer, and Phil Patterson knew them because he worked with them. He goes, "Hey, I know this guy Mike who plays drums." And they're like, "Okay, let's see what he's got." And I went over there and played with them and stuff. And they were like, "You're in," So I was in their band for a year or two, and then they joined forces with another group that was friends of theirs called Mark of Cain.
Oh.
and they were more heavy, dark industrial kind of music, and we just bonded and formed a group called Voodoo Dolly.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, we were on Dave Pruitt's. We were on Dave Pruitt's show a couple of times, and so that's pretty much what I did in the '90s. I also started listening to a lot of hip hop. I started getting into that and stuff, and I started getting into technology and stuff, and so I started making beats basically for people who ever wanted them, and I ran into a couple of people from San Antonio, and I made beats for them, and some people beats here in Austin, and I was just kind of basically cutting my teeth on learning electronic music and stuff because I liked electronic music. I loved it, even when I was in Militia, I still liked. I used to wear a Duran Duran shirt at some shows.
Of course.
And
a lot of metalheads like Duran Duran.
Yeah,
good songwriting is good songwriting, man.
John Taylor is an incredible bass player.
There's a lot going on in Duran Duran.
So anyway, I kind of went into that area throughout the 90s and stuff, and kind of left metal alone because I didn't like really what was coming out in the 90s, to be honest, in the metal stuff. If I wanted to listen to metal, I'd just reach in my little catalog and pull out Merciful Fate or Trouble.
Yes.
Slayer.
Yes.
I couldn't do what I like to call organic metal, from the 90s stuff.
Yeah.
It just didn't hit me the same. So
right.
I tried, but it just didn't hit.
Let me bring up something that a lot of people don't know. There was a group out of state. You know what I'm talking about? Tell us about
Oblivion Night.
Oblivion Night.
Yeah.
Tell us what year was that, and what did you end up doing, and how did they hear about you?
I think I can't remember the guy's name, but one of the guy's name was Steve. I can't remember the last name. They got a hold of me.
Steve.
Sorry, Steve. In Alabama. From Alabama, these two guys.
Another Alabama man.
Yeah.
This is before Phil even knew he was going to be in Alabama. Wow.
Yeah, this is before that. As a matter of fact,
you're honorary member of Alabama.
As a matter of fact, he ran into those guys at a club down there.
What?
Yeah. They say, "Hey, weren't you the drummer for Militia?" And he's like, "Yeah." Small world.
Crazy.
Yeah.
What was the stuff like, and is it available?
The stuff was like very, sword in hand, more sword in hand stuff. Goblet in the other, filled with a skull goblet, filled with blood or wine or mixture of the two.
Yes.
Very epic metal, I think is what it was.
Okay. Excalibur.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh.
And so I think
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah, no. And so they contacted me. I think they gave me a call and said, "Hey, we're doing this demo stuff, and we got Kenny from Cyrus playing drums."
Oh, right.
So they're like, "You want to do it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll do it." Yeah. I can't remember the year. 89 maybe.
How did you record the vocals for that?
We went to San Antonio. They came down when I went to San Antonio, and we went into a studio over there. I can't remember the name of the studio.
Okay.
But I did that stuff, and called it Oblivion Night. I was signing Oblivion Night stuff in Germany when I went the first time.
Wow.
Yeah, because somebody ended up pressing vinyl of that. But there was also, I think they also did a project with some other singers as well.
So that was on there too.
I think they put that on there.
Yeah.
So.
That was smart. So man, the underground is really special like that.
Dude, I'm telling you,
it was kind of like Strangers in the Night that you just, from a friend, Kenny from Cyrus, drummer for Cyrus, just goes, "Well, I know Mike from Militia. He can do this stuff blindfolded, just da-da-da-da-da." And it's a project, and it's a thing, and metalheads unite, and something so long ago, and years and decade later, or longer, 2 decades later.
I think they actually heard of Militia somehow, and because Kenny probably would have said, "Well, let's just get Mike Vasquez,"
Oh,
Mike,
yeah, you would think.
from Cyrus, but I think they wanted me specifically
Okay.
probably because of the super duper highs or whatever it is that I do.
Yeah,
And,
you could say super duper 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 high. Probably.
yeah. And so it's like, yeah, okay.
Okay.
And, so we did that.
That's really, really cool that you kind of got to do projects outside of Militia
Yeah.
and just by word of mouth kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, tell us about Assailant and the story behind Assailant, because a lot of Militia fans, they know about Assailant and they have either the demo or
Yeah.
or at least are able to listen to it on YouTube and stuff.
Yes.
Tell us about Assailant and what had happened to Militia that made you available for that, and time span a little bit.
The story goes back to right about when I was realizing I didn't want to do the no submission songs, because I was just kind of like, guys, I think we kind of made a mistake. Basically, kind of going, I think we should keep going with the. And
86-ish?
86, probably, yeah.
Okay.
I think so. Like right around the time you finished doing their demo for Assailant.
Right. So that to add to that backstory,
right.
It was kind of when Jesse contacted me about what became Militia, and I threw you into the fire, and it obviously worked fantastic.
Yeah.
These guys, JB Slimp and Louis Beltran and Mike Pateo and Darren Keeling had been writing some heavy metal songs,
right?
And didn't have a singer.
Right.
And they contacted me, and I heard the songs, and I loved it, and wrote lyrics, and went into the studio, Cedar Creek, where Watchtower Energetic Disassembly was recorded, among many other cool classic Texas records, and cut the. Oh, and I invited. This is it. I invited you to come in and cut some harmonies.
Yeah.
And you want to finish the story from there?
Well, I think, of course, I listened to Assailant and thought, man, this is incredible stuff, man. This is kick-ass.
The shit was good, man.
It was amazing. I was like, man, these guys are really good. So, but I wasn't going.
You know what? What was different than like Watchtower and Militia? It wasn't thrash. It was power metal.
Power metal, exactly.
It was early power metal.
Mm-hmm. And when I heard all that stuff, I wasn't thinking, maybe I should join Assailant. I was not at all. That didn't occur to me at all. It just so happened that maybe between that time and my dissatisfaction with the no submission stuff, I kind of just told the guys, man, I don't want to do this stuff. I don't want to do this. And they were like, no, man, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. It was mainly Rob and Phil that were really adamant about it. And I just kind of said, I don't want to do this. I think I talked to them on the phone. I was on the phone with them. And that day they were on the way to San Antonio to go hang out with King Diamond at Liliana Martinez's house.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
so I was kind of pissed that they didn't invite me, but
so right? So that's for sure. That's 86.
Yeah.
That's 86.
And I was like, I don't want to do this. And they're like, well, we're going to do it, And I'm like, no, we're not. I quit.
What?
And I hung up the phone, picked up the phone, called Louis Beltran, because I had heard they were looking for a singer.
From Assailant.
From Assailant.
Uh-huh.
I heard they were looking for a singer. I called him up and I said, hey, Louis, what's going on? Hey, what's going on? I said, hey, man, I think I may have found a singer for you. They're like, who? And I said, me.
Right.
And he's silent for a while. And I'm like, so when do I try out? When do you want me to try out? He's like, you're in. You're not trying out.
There's no audition. There's no audition. It's the same bro down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was in one band and out of the other one in like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's how that got started.
Yeah. So you went into Cedar Creek.
Yeah.
And this sounds I'm going to be dramatic for effect.
No, that's fine.
You recorded over my vocal tracks.
Yeah, exactly.
Never to be heard again. Well, no, they're floating around out there.
Yeah, they're still around.
People can hear both versions, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
They can hear Jason singing the lead and Mike singing all the harmonies on 3 or 4 songs.
Yeah.
And then there's a version where you still hear Mike singing the harmonies, but you hear Mike doing the lead vocal too.
Doing the lead vocal, yeah. And so I joined the Assailant.
You had to sing my lyrics though.
Yeah, exactly. There I go, not writing lyrics for anything again.
And singing other people's lyrics are not as bad as
no, it's great. It worked out super. I mean, I ended up writing a lot of maybe 3 or 4, 5 more songs for Assailant. So I wrote lyrics for that stuff too. And
tell us about the infamous Bumblebee costume.
That was me, very
if you don't
creative.
Mind.
No, I'm just going to get it out there.
Awesome.
And
I love it. Yeah.
Get it out of the way.
Hey, Metal Dave, do you know about what we're talking about? The Bumblebee costume? No. If you saw a certain set of photographs taken at the Ritz Theater in Austin, Texas at an Assailant show, were you guys opening for someone? Impaler. Wow.
Yeah. At the Ritz.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I was getting very creative at that point.
The guys in Kiss started somewhere.
Yeah. And so I started getting all this black tubing stuff going here, and they're trying to look very, very Rage for Order. Poor man's Rage for Order,
or remember this band, Rogue Male.
Yeah. So Rogue I had these shoulder things going out, the kind of Ace Frehley like, but it was like the what is that stuff you put on the walls for sound?
No, it was stuff. Mattress topper.
That's it. Yeah, which we also use for that.
Yeah, soundproofing.
So I had that going on, and looking back, of course, it's very laughable. I mentioned that actually today to Joe Gregory.
That's hilarious. Joe Gregory. Hi, Joe Gregory. He's the singer for Texas metal band Valkyrie from San Antonio.
And that's the infamous Bumblebee costume, and it's on video.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Wow. Great. Yeah. Well, the songs were great. I feel like, we could actually talk for 1,000 years about the escapades of Mike and Jason. Yeah. Because
that's a whole nother.
You are oh my God, it's things we can talk about and things we cannot.
Yeah.
The family that we are.
Absolutely.
People they either know or they don't, or they have no idea.
Right. Yeah.
How close you and I actually are.
Yeah.
So, I mean, on that note, I feel like we've really covered a lot of awesome things. And the Gods Made War, Militia's new and improved record on red vinyl is available, isn't it?
I think we have one I think we have splatter vinyl as well, and black vinyl. Yeah.
Where do people find it, Mike?
Right now, I have some, but I think you can find them on the Skull Records website.
SKOL.
Skull
Records.
Probably find it on it, and it's on CD form as well. And they also release the Second Coming CD, which is
awesome.
Another compilation of all the old stuff, and I think there's some practices on there, and various things. That was
so Onslaught, a re-recorded version of Onslaught is on this record.
Yeah,
this is a must-have for collectors.
That's an oldie. That's an old song.
That's one of the original songs. That's from '85.
Yeah, and it came out really good. It came out. I'm particularly fond of the drums, even though I played them. It sounds like one of those crank machine guns from World War I.
Like a Gatling gun. Yeah. Whoa,
sounds just like that.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing a website on here for High Roller Records. It's www.hrrc records.de. It's a German site. There's probably an order form there as well. I'm pulling out the sheet of like 1 million bands that you can buy on HR Records. I know they'll be able to find it. Militia and Gods Made War.
I'm very happy with how that came out. I mean, it's, of course I would listen to Strength and Honor, but after a while I was like, this is almost unlistenable to me. The songs, it's too bad because the songs are really good. And then we had the chance to do what we did, and now it's very listenable.
Yeah.
Track listing on here, and then I'll let Metal Dave take us out. Militia and the Gods Made War, A Call to Arms, Furious, The Judas Dream, Before the Fall, Doomed, and the title track and the Gods Made War, Onslaught, which, like we said, is an oldie but a goodie redone here. I think that makes it even more special, actually. Injustice, The Black Marauders, Unveil the Faith, and We Need a New Enemy. Mike, it's been awesome.
Yes, thank you for having me. This is been great. Yeah.
Yeah, the new album sounds fantastic. I'm glad you had a chance to do it some justice and bring it up to the standards you've always envisioned it having. It sounds
me too. And I'm going to get you a copy of that, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm loving what I'm hearing digitally, but I'm a big fan of vinyl.
Vinyl, exactly. I got to give Dave a vinyl. There's no way around that. I'm going to give it to him. So.
Well, thank you, Mike. And I do hope you guys are able to get out and do some shows. It'd be great to see you live, especially with Scott and the band. And
right, it's a whole new. It'll be a whole new energy, I think, up there.
So I'm just going to geek out here. Realize you have the bass player from Juggernaut and the guitar player from S.A. Slayer and Carrion in Militia. It's like a freaking super group now.
Yeah.
You got two original members and then half of what could be some of the greatest Texas metal ever.
Yeah.
And Chip is no slouch, of course. His when you do know his pedigree, he's kind of a man behind the scenes anyway. Amazing drummer, any style, mind-blowing drummer anyway. So
when we saw him with Carrie, and we were like, man, this guy's awesome, And then later on, what if that guy was playing for Militia?
Powerhouse.
Yeah.
A legend in Texas metal history, folks. Mike Soliz of Militia. On behalf of my co-host Jason McMaster, I'm Metal Dave, thanking our special guest Mike Soliz and thanking you for listening to another episode of the Talk Louder podcast.
Thanks.